Hello, this is Dread, and in today's video topic, if you do not know, recently there was a huge blog post posted by EHG about some quality of life changes. Now, the blog post is very long, and I'm not going to talk about the entire blog post, but I am going to talk about something specific, and that is the changes to Avalanche. Sure, don't get me wrong, changing my blessings, Gaze of Orbis stuff, all of these things are cool and all, but the things I care about in last Epoch are skills and builds. So when I saw the changes to Avalanche, it made me so happy. So if you don't know, Shaman for the longest of time has been kind of like bottom tier, but thankfully with the recent changes to Gathering Storm and the changes to the passive tree a little bit, it was kind of mediocre. Let's put it like that, right? But after that, it got a lot better, like a lot better. The only problem was it was missing one thing. Avalanche, one of its premier skills, was still stuck in 2020 or in 2018 when it was first designed. Now, Avalanche has historically been pretty good in last Epoch, at least before they started giving enemies significant portions of health, and now it's kind of mediocre because it just hasn't been updated to the times. But that's actually what this post talks about, is the rework to Avalanche. So if you don't know, now the way it works is you will cast it as a self-cast skill, no cooldown or anything like that. It will shoot out one big boulder with 800% damage effectiveness, and then 400% damage effectiveness for a bunch of small little boulders. That is insane. It's 50 mana now as well at base, and that's crazy. That's crazy enough as it is. That change alone is enough to merit Avalanche being good, even without all of the other nodes being shown or teased. That means Avalanche will be very good, if not S tier in general. Avalanche not only will have a lot of damage, it has a lot of AoE, as you can see in the footage. It's just gonna be generically very good. But what's cool is they've actually shown us some of the nodes that's gonna be changing for Avalanche as well. Like for instance, we have a node called Alpine Guide. So not only are we gonna the small boulders on big boulder crit, right? We actually get base critical strike chance as well on the skill. This is important because I'll be honest with you, generally catalysts kind of suck, but getting 9% base crit from the tree itself, that's really good. This means on top of running like a peak of the mountain, which we'll talk about later, means that you can cap your crit very quickly with a shaman build in general, which means you can focus on other things that are more important. And of course, you get the small little boulders. It's not as strong as the old one was where it would create a bunch of boulders, but I think this is good enough. This will be really good in general, just for the base crit alone. There is a node that makes it so that it will cast upheaval from the large boulders. I don't think this node's good at all, to be honest with you. Upheaval's kind of a mid-tier skill. Its mana cost is a little too high. Also as well, like, it's only the big boulder, which only happens once, so you only get one upheaval instead of a bunch of upheavals. So if this was every single upheaval, I mean every single boulder instead of just the big boulder, like it might be okay, but like upheaval's kind of meh. I really wouldn't like focus on this at all, in my humble opinion. Maybe there's a way of utilizing it. Maybe we can summon, of course, upheaval totems with this. Who knows? Maybe it'll be fine, but right now it's kind of mediocre in my opinion. But the last node we're going to talk about for Avalanche is Storm Caller. Boulder hits have a chance to grant you storm stacks. And if you don't know, you get one big boulder, then a bunch of small boulders. This means that you're going to have a way of generating storm stacks very easily. And you can also generate storm stacks while transformed, because what you can do is you could run one of the idols that grants you a boulder when you use a spell or use a melee attack or something like that. So you can be in Spriggan form and trigger storm stacks for Friends of the Forest to kickstart it, so you no longer have to actually get out of Spriggan form to get that storm stack with the Gathering Storm proc. So you can actually play a Gathering Storm Spriggan if you wanted to. And there's a lot of other implications, as you know, as you're just playing Avalanche, you also get Gathering Storm, so it's even more damage, right? Obviously you'll have to scale generic spell damage, but it's definitely worth it. Another thing that's happening with the patch as well that we'll talk about real quick is there's a bunch of new passives for 3 different masteries right now. So the big passive change, in my opinion, is going to be from Sorcerer. So not only are we going to get Spark Charge Chance with 40 plus cost mana skills, which is really good. So you could run like Static Orb and use all the little orbs and apply a very large amount of static charges. That'll be cool, right? Great. We're also getting access to a new version of Archmage, which gives you a chance to refund mana from a big skill, like on any skill, I think. Is it? Yeah, it's any skill. So if you have a large amount of maximum mana, you will refund 20% of the mana of the skill. It's very important that it says refund, because the next node we talk about here is Mana Well, which gives you mana spent gained as ward 50%. I've been wanting them to push more into this direction of mana spent gained as ward, and adding it to the tree is definitely a good start in that. And of course, Archmage is also a good push into that direction. But what's really cool is the new node, Dragon Breath, which not only gives you a decent amount of elemental damage, but also increases the area of 4 area skills by 40%, which is insane for Meteor, if you don't know, because it increases overlaps. It's good for a lot of different reasons. And of course, we have this other node here, Mana Shell, that makes it so that you gain ward per second per 10 mana. It's good. Once you have like 1,000 mana, you'll get 100 ward per second, which is a pretty good hefty amount, considering you're probably going to want to get to 1,000 mana anyways for all the other benefits of being a sorcerer. Now, we're going to talk about Forge Guard real quick and all the new nodes. All right, we've talked about Forge Guard. Now let's talk about Shaman, because that's way more exciting. So Swirling Maelstrom here, it gives you 20 flat endurance threshold per Maelstrom. You can easily get like 20 Maelstrom, so that's 80 flat endurance threshold, or you could push this even higher. It's just a free amount of endurance threshold. That's cool. It's not like the best thing ever, but it's still pretty good. You can get like 40 sacks of Maelstrom. This would be like there's reasons to utilize this for sure, right? Like there's reasons to utilize this ideally, right? Actually, I think 20 put times 20, that's actually 400 endurance threshold. Yeah, I think that's the case. Yeah, I think that, yeah, that's definitely it. That's actually a decent chunk of endurance threshold, I think, overall. Another node that has me really excited is Shattered Heavens, giving us access to Frostbite chance on the tree of Shaman, and it's generic as well. It's just generic Frostbite chance, so there's a lot of ways to abuse this in the future, which is great. Then we have Avatar Thunder, which gives us a bunch of lightning pen based on our attunement scaling, and it's shared between us and our minions, so like Storm Totem and stuff like that, or crows if you do choose to do that. That's a very large amount of free pen. It's like 40% pen if you get to like 100 attunement, which is a very good amount. What's really cool though is this last node here we're going to talk about is Iron Bark. Iron Bark here not only gives you a lot of flat health and armor now, it also gives you it gives you 1 flat health regen per 3 attunement. Okay, that doesn't sound that good until you start doing the math. Let's say you have like 120 attunement as a shaman. That is 40 flat health regen. That is equivalent to like a tier 7 modifier on an item. I think even more than that. That is a lot of flat health regen, which means that Vessel Shamans might be really good, or hell, just normal Shamans running health regen instead of Leech, and then running Peak of the Mountain to cap their Avalanche off with, of course, the 1 node. So like there's a lot of different things coming into this patch that I'm really excited for, not Forge Guard, but there's just a lot of things that I'm just excited for in general in terms of Avalanches, like so many other things. I would heavily suggest just checking out the blog post because there's just so much in it. You might as well just go and read it. But overall, I'm really excited for the next patch. Now, with all that being said, this has been Dread. I have to go do something else. Bye.